As we look back on the past year, a year that's clearly been defined by a devastating pandemic that has shaken the very foundations of society, that has impacted healthcare systems and populations around the world, Novartis was able to continue to deliver on our purpose throughout the year. We were able to bring over 70 billion doses of medicine to over 750 million patients around the world, all while making our contributions to the pandemic response. Through the year, we also delivered solid financial performance, with sales growing at 3%, core operating income growing at 13%, and our margins reaching 35% in innovative medicines. What I'd like to do today is turn to some members of my leadership team to talk about the key highlights in their parts of the organization. Let's start with Susanna Safford, our president of Novartis Oncology. Susanna, what are your reflections on the year?
Well, Vas, I have to say the oncology team has done an amazing job, and we could reach 1.2 million patients with our medicines. I have to say I'm incredibly proud that everyone has really gone the extra mile. Like our tech ops teams, they did not miss the delivery of one pack, and teams who developed a home monitoring app in record time so that, for example, patients on Kisqali and Piqray could stay safely at home. So overall, the oncology business has remained resilient, and I'm very proud of the performance and the growth of our brands. And we had 3 launches in 2020. Tabrecta for non-small cell lung cancer in the US and Japan, Adakveo in sickle cell disease in the EU, and Piqray, the first and only targeted medicine for advanced breast cancer with a PIK3CA mutation. And all these launches were done virtually for the first time ever.
I have to say, it's been remarkable to see the way our oncology organization has adapted to the uncertainties to continue delivering treatments to patients that they rely on every single day. Now I'd like to turn to Richard, who leads our Sandoz operations. Richard, what are your highlights as you look back on what our Sandoz teams have achieved in 2020?
Thank you, Vas. At Sandoz, we had a lot to be proud of in 2020. We ended the year net sales flat versus the prior year and a core operating income margin of 24%. Holding sales steady during a pandemic that has radically impacted demand for many of our products is a huge achievement. Sandoz was the first and only company to commit to stable prices on a basket of medicines used to treat COVID-19, which then evolved into a broader Novartis commitment to supply a basket of products at cost to nearly 80 developing countries. And remember, we did this at a time when many of the prices of raw materials were soaring on the global markets.
I'm also proud of the way our Sandoz organization has been able to not only weather the crisis, but also lead on so many dimensions of the pandemic response. Really, really incredible work. Our pharmaceuticals division also reached important milestones last year. Marie-France, what are the key achievements you are reflecting on?
Well, 2020 was definitely an extraordinary year with extraordinary challenges. We've made great progress in delivering on our aspiration of transforming the standard of care for twice as many patients twice as fast. We reach more patients and milestones with our growth drivers, Cosentyx and Entresto. We were also able to celebrate the approvals of Kesimpta for relapsing forms of multiple sclerosis in the US and Leqvio for hypercholesterolemia and mixed dyslipidemia in the EU, and many more. We also launched Beovu in Europe, Kesimpta in the US. As most of the world went into lockdown, we made the shift to digital launches virtually overnight. And despite the continued impacts of COVID-19 on our visits, particularly in dermatology and ophthalmology, I am so proud of how the teams have made it happen.
It's remarkable, Marie-France. One of the things I'm most proud of is the way we've been able to continue to deliver our previously approved medicines that are on the market, while at the same time finding ways to bring the next wave of novel innovations forward. That includes what I'm personally excited about is bringing Zolgensma to more patients around the world, including an ex-US approval in Europe as well as other markets. Speaking of innovation, let's turn to John Tsai, our Chief Medical Officer and Global Head of Drug Development. John, what's the latest on our pipeline and how has the development organization been navigating the pandemic?
Yeah, thanks, Vas. As you said, we made significant advancements in our pipeline despite these challenges. And this was really enabled by the hard work of the teams, as well as the investments that we made in our capabilities. So a couple of major areas in terms of data readouts, Beovu and DME, where we read out the results, asciminib in chronic myelogenous leukemia, and iptacopan in PNH, as well as C3G. As you know, C3G is a renal disease that currently has no disease-modifying therapies, and this would really change the standard of care. We also had breakthrough designations for a couple of our compounds. Lastly, in terms of COVID mitigation, we've been able to leverage our digital investments and capabilities. Our Sense Insight Center allows us to see all the clinical studies, which are 500 clinical trials in 70 countries, where we were able to see where patients were being enrolled and where COVID was having an impact on studies. And we were able to mitigate. So with that, we had 35,000 remote monitoring visits, and we will continue to learn from that experience in 2021. Back to you, Vas.
Thanks, John. Great progress in GDD. And I'm really proud about the depth and breadth of our mid-stage pipeline, which can address such a broad range of critically important diseases. Another area I think that's worth mentioning is our progress on environmental, social, and governance topics. We made significant strides across all dimensions of the ESG spectrum, including introducing a new code of ethics at the company, committing to net zero carbon emissions by 2030, and introducing the healthcare industry's first ever sustainability-linked bond tied to access to medicines. While the pandemic will remain with us in the months ahead, we're set to maintain our agility and to continue delivering for patients in 2021. Finally, I want to just extend my deep gratitude to all our associates and partners. This has not been an easy year for anyone. Your extraordinary efforts and commitment enable us to do our work, enable the world to keep progressing. We're grateful. Please be well, please stay healthy.